Hello, horror fans, and welcome back to the Script to Screen podcast, where we delve into the spine-tingling world of horror cinema. Each week, we look at the scariest scenes, unmask the deeper meanings behind your favourite horror films, and explore the psychology of fear that keeps us coming back for more.
From script analysis to scene breakdowns, we'll be dissecting your favourite horror movies to see just what makes them tick. So whether you're a seasoned horror aficionado or just starting to explore the genre, join us as we unravel the spine-tingling stories that haunt the silver screen.
I'm Will.
I'm Lee.
Now, for those of you that may be new to the show, please check out our website, www.scripttoscreenpodcast.com, where you can find a lot more insight into the scripts and the films that we cover. We've added scareology graphs to illustrate the scares in each of the films and annotated script excerpts to highlight some of the ideas and concepts we cover when dissecting the screenplays. So if you want to go deeper on your favorite scripts, there's more to interest, entertain, and delight over at scripttoscreenpodcast.com. Also, if you like what we're doing here on the Script Screen podcast, please like and share the episodes if you can. And leaving us a review is amazing. It really helps us reach new people. So we'd really appreciate it if you could do that. That said, how have you been, Lee? And what have you been watching, my friend?
This week, I finally managed to catch a film I've been wanting to watch for ages, that being Bring Her Back. And mate, this film did not disappoint. Starring the always incredible Sally Hawkins, this film was just an unrelenting experience. You know, packing in not only some delightfully disturbing imagery and some stellar performances, but a constant, unrelenting sense of loss and grief that will stay with you long after those credits roll, man.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've heard a bit about Bring Her Back, and I mean, Sally Hawkins is always amazing too, but it sounds a bit of a tough one.
It is a toughie, you know, for sure, but it's so good. You know, it's worth putting yourself through it. And it's a film I definitely watch again. So it's definitely not too high on the traumatic scale. I mean, not for me, at least. How about you, matey boy? What's been on your screens this week?
Okay, well, this week I managed to go to the cinema, Lee. I watched The Bone Temple. And it was pretty enjoyable, dude. I mean, great turns from obviously sort of Ralph Fiennes, Jack O'Connell. Alfie Williams was great too. I mean, it's really kind of strong thematically, as we've kind of come to expect from Garland, but possibly lacking, you know, a little bit with regards to sort of zombie action, which might disappoint some people. But overall, I thought it was pretty kind of entertaining, and it's quite interesting tonally, and definitely worth a watch, dude. So yeah, that was fun.
Nice. Not zombies, infected. Can't forget that. But awesome. Anyway, so what's strapped on the table for dissection this week?
Okay, well, this weekly, we are veering hard into the comedy side of comedy horror with the beloved cult smash, Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
Nice. Yeah, I figured after the double impact of two Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies in a row, I should probably cut you a little slack before you burn out.
Well, it's very much appreciated, dude. I do appreciate that. So what made you choose this script for dissection, Lee?
Okay, so I got to come clean straight off the bat. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's a great chance to look at a film that has just increased in popularity over the years. I mean, this film, despite being pretty tame in the gore department, has some of the most inventive kills. And best of all, the film ties everything together wonderfully with this mad, anarchic circus theme. It's kind of like an explosion of chaotic ingenuity. And I cannot wait to have a deep dive into the blueprint behind it.
Oh, I'm looking forward to diving into this one, dude. Okay, so directed by Stephen Chiodo and originally released May 27th, 1988, and filmed on a budget of around $2 million. The box office numbers for this one are something of an enigma, Lee. Needless to say, the film didn't set the box office ablaze upon its limited cinematic release. However, the movie would go on to achieve cult adoration and renown on VHS and later, of course, on DVD.
We'll be comparing the film to a copy of the script dated April 7th, 1987, weighing in at a big top-busting 108 pages and written by Charles and Stephen Chiodo.
All right then, dude, let's get down with the clown as we strap down and dissect Killer Klowns from Outer Space. When a small town is invaded by alien clowns harvesting humans in sinister circus traps, a group of unsuspecting teens must uncover the truth behind the extraterrestrial masquerade and fight to survive a nightmarish carnival of chaos before everyone becomes part of the clown's deadly sideshow. We open in the black void of space. Ominous, inhuman laughter echoes in the background. It's undeniably a little creepy here, Lee. That is until the rockin' Killer Clowns theme song kicks in and we pan down to reveal the Big Top Burger joint.
Man, that cracking theme song by 80s punk band The Dickies perfectly sets the tone for the film to come. And straight out of the gate, we've got some differences between the script and the film. Before we get to the Big Top Burger on the page, we are introduced to sleazy Joe Lombardo, a drunken ass who kicks his girlfriend out of his car for her unwillingness to, how do they say in the 80s? To put out. And as Joe tears off along the winding clifftop road, a pair of headlights appear behind him and move dangerously close to ramming him off the road. And to his inebriated horror, we learn that it's no car pursuing him, but a floating clown, seemingly driving an invisible vehicle with only the headlights visible. Joe doesn't last long as the killer clown forces him over the cliff to his doom. Now, this scene does appear later in the film in a slightly different form, but it's interesting how it was originally intended as a cold open.
Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? Now, stalking the burger joint is police officer Curtis Mooney, played to perfection by veteran actor John Vernon.
Oh man, John Vernon is an absolute delight throughout this film. And I think it's fair to say that his performance is a high point.
Yeah, without doubt, man. I mean, he's just so enjoyable to watch as he glares daggers, at every teenager he passes. Hell of a credit list to this guy. He appeared in virtually every great TV series going and did some great voice work too for a lot of animated series. So it's great to see him in this.
Yeah, there's an extra scene in the script where one of these teens bemoans the ever-watching policeman before heading off to the top of the world.
We then head to the aforementioned top of the world, a hilltop makeout spot for the local teens, and it's pretty crowded, including budding lovebirds Mike and Debbie, who are making out on an inflatable raft in the back of Mike's car.
In the script, there is an entire scene where Mike regales Debbie with a tale of how he almost went down in the raft in shark-infested waters.
Yeah, dude, I think I'm going to call bullshit on that one. I'm not sure that happened, but it's interesting that there's so many little cuts from the script already, and we're only a few minutes in. I mean, this one does give the audience an early mention of two characters who appear a little later, so it's interesting that this was cut. Any thoughts on Wiley?
I think it's all about streamlining. I think, especially your opening, you need to hook the audience as quickly as possible. And it just goes to show that you can cut a lot more than you no doubt think from your script, and it will still work just fine.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Now, our on screen lovebirds and their amorously parked cohorts are pulled from their romantic reveries by an incoming ice cream truck with a giant roof mounted clown head spouting a shrill and unwanted sales pitch. Now, unfortunately, these horny teens are not in the mood for ice cream, Lee. Mike reveals this grating duo are his childhood buddies, the Terenzi brothers. And after striking out with both their ice cream sales and their oversized female companions, the brothers make a hasty exit.
And if you're after the most politically incorrect character introduction of the week, check this bad boy out from the script. Two fat but cute girls emerge from the rear of the truck holding popsicles. Tracy and Stacy, the pork chop twins.
Oh, Lee, I tell you, I had to chuckle at the sheer kind of inappropriateness of the pork chop twins. I mean, at least it says they're cute, right?
Hey, every cloud, besides, I do like a good pork chop every now and then.
Well, who doesn't like a good pork chop, Lee? Okay, so with the Terenzis out of the picture, Mike returns his attention to the lovely Debbie, only for their romantic stargazing to be interrupted by a crashing meteor. But they aren't the only ones who spot the malicious meteor. Local farmer Green and his loyal hound Pooh Bear also spy the falling object and head out to investigate. And already, Lee, I'm fearing for another canine fatality approaching me rapidly. I swear, dude, you're doing this on purpose.
I never really noticed the amount of canine killings in horror until very lately.
Yeah, there's a lot of dog hate out there in Horrorland, Lee.
Yeah, man. Farmer Green, by the way, is played by veteran actor and fantastically named Royal Dano, who I recognized immediately from the modern classic Ghoulies 2.
Yeah, so he's a genre actor with a career spanning decades, including The Outlaw, Josie Wales, Gunsmoke, and Planet of the Apes. And Lee recognizes him from Ghoulies too. Very much you, Lee, I think, there.
Ghoulies 2 is freaking awesome, man.
Okay, so back to the movie though. Debbie persuades an unenthusiastic Mike to head out with her in search of the meteor before we rejoin Farmer Green, who is already deep in the woods.
In the script, these two scenes aren't split and instead run concurrently. I mean, this would most likely have been done simply for pacing, I reckon, before you ask.
Yeah. Okay, so Farmer Green, to his delighted surprise, discovers not a smoking crater, but an illuminated big top tent. And he and Pooh set off to locate the ticket booth.
Ah, the intelligence of short-lived B-movie side characters.
Absolutely. As he circles the tent, a massive clown shaped silhouette stalks him from inside the tent before snaring poor Pooh with a net. It's our first. Is this a scare? Does this film even have scares, Lee?
Yeah, I absolutely hear what you're saying here. So let's get this out of the way now. This movie is not going to score high on the scarology, but we'll still take our usual approach to scares and structure. Just bear in mind that hardly anyone is going to find this little gem of a film genuinely scary, unless they suffer with coulrophobia, that is.
With what now, Lee? What's that?
Coulrophobia is a fear of clowns.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have a phobia of clowns, this could well be the most terrifying movie ever made. So be warned. So our first scare clocks in at around the 8 minute and 30-second mark, with poor Pooh being dog napped and culminates with an enraged Farmer Green being zapped by a ray gun wielding inhuman clown.
In the script, Green tries to lift the tent flap up, but instead finds that the walls of the tent are solid metal and that it is buried deep in the ground. Also, while none of the clowns are named in the script or the film, thanks to merchandising and tie-in material, they have all since been christened with their own identities. The big fellow that zaps Farmer Green is known as Jumbo, and he's one of the meaner clowns and can be recognized by his tall stature and green hair.
So we head now to the local police station where Mooney has just brought in a couple of teenage punks, Lee, much to the annoyance of Officer Dave, the blonde haired, blue eyed dreamboat who will undoubtedly prove to be the film's hero.
Yeah, he is pretty dreamy, isn't he? Side note, if I could replace my voice with anyone, alive or dead, I think I'd be hard pressed not to choose John Vernon's steely tones. I mean, can you imagine the podcast in his voice instead of my Wurzel Gummidge-esque Hampshire squawk?
Oh, I don't know, Lee. I'm kind of partial to your Hampshire hillbilly accent, to be honest. I mean, I like to think of it as Gummidge meets Grimes.
Oh, thanks, dude. Okay. But back to the script, and though it isn't present in the film, we do get some good old 80s gay bashing here. Check it out.
Punk number one. We didn't do nothing. We were walking through the park on our way to the dorm and we had a bottle of wine. Punk number two. Yeah, it's a beautiful night. We were just walking around. We didn't do nothing. Mooney. Walking through the park. What are you two homos on drugs, booze, or both? Dave. Whoa, Cliff, cool down. Mooney. Don't tell me to cool down. Who do you think you are, the chief? Dave. Don't start that. He left both of us in charge. Mooney. I'm tired of this shit. What do we have to do? Wait till these homos go on an alcohol, drug-induced sex murder rampage? Mean. Now, Dave and Mooney almost come to blows before the older cop herds the two punks away into the cells.
Yeah. A few things to unpack here. First off, Dave, played by John Allen Nelson, throws out some brilliant B movie acting here as he goes toe to toe with the intimidating Officer Mooney. Second of all, that second teenage punk, the one in the black with the clown hair, hey, he looks shifty as fuck. And I don't blame Mooney at all for hauling his ass in jail. And thirdly, you don't have to be gay to go on an alcohol, drug-induced sex murder rampage. Some days, we all got to cut loose. And finally, this scene actually occurs a little later in the script after Mike and Debbie have their clown-shaped encounter of the third kind.
Now, with the situation in the cop shop under control, at least for the moment, we rejoin Mike and Debbie as they head into the woods in search of the meteor, only to stumble upon the sinister Big Top. Now, Debbie shows at least a modicum of common sense as she doesn't want to go anywhere near it, but heroic Mike playfully threatens to abandon her if she doesn't accompany him. Dick move from Mike, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. In the script, we get a couple of pages of banter between Mike and Deb as they fumble around in the dark, including, but not limited to, Mike tricking Debbie into grabbing his junk in the dark, and Deb beating him up whilst doing a Mr. T impression. Yeah, you heard that right, sucker.
Okay, so you know what I'm going to ask, Lee. Any thoughts on why these pages were cut?
I mean, they aren't great. The dialogue is a little clunkier than normal here, and while it would have been amusing to see Deb kick Mike's ass, nothing that happens on these pages is necessary or relevant to the story. They do play with darkness a little here, though, using like a flickering torch to isolate Debbie for a moment, which could have been used to throw a scare in or a fake out scare, especially now that we know there are clown-shaped dangers in these woods. And this is quickly followed by another cutscene that goes as follows.
Walking around the tent, they laugh together quietly so they won't be discovered. On another side of the tent, a yellow streak of light traces a doorway in the canvas, revealing an opening. A clown carrying a fishpole exits the tent. Mike and Debbie come around just in time to see the clowns walking away. Mike, excited. Wow, did you see that clown? This is great! Debbie, reluctantly. Yeah, right. Debbie feels uneasy. Mike jumps to the opening. Mike, no one is around. You want to check it out? Mike enters. Debbie hesitates. Debbie, no, we better not. He might come back. Mike pops his head out. Mike, excited. Debbie, you're going to love this. In brackets, taunts. Come on, don't be a baby. Clowns are funny. What are they going to do? Tickle us to death? Now, back on screen, Mike and Debbie locate the entrance to the tent and head inside. It's a funky-looking enclosure, to be sure, but Mike chalks it up to being a European circus, Lee. These Yanks.
Oh, man. We then get some extra dialogue, which didn't make it to the screen. This time it's a Gremlin-style monologue from Debbie about why she hates clowns. Check it out.
Debbie takes a deep breath and reflects seriously. Debbie, I was 5 years old. My mum and dad took me to the circus for the first time, in brackets nervously. The lion tamers, the acrobats, the tightrope walkers. I guess it was okay. Debbie, pause. But then this little car drove up and stopped right in front of me. Out came this huge clown. He jumped over to me and lifted me out of my seat. Everybody was laughing. Mike listens intently. Debbie continued. He threw me on his shoulders and ran out into the center ring. I was petrified. Then other clowns began to dance around, honking horns, squeaking their noses at me, their cakey white faces with yellow eyes and dingy teeth, tormenting me. Pause. It was terrifying. I'll never forget those horrible smiling faces as long as I live. Mike is watching Debbie's face. She is genuinely disturbed about the clowns.
Something tells me Debbie is about to have a really, really bad day.
Yeah, undoubtedly. But Mike urges her on as they stumble upon a Star Wars-like reactor chamber. It is bright pink and descending hundreds of meters into the earth. It even has a plasma ball for effect. Now, I just have to pipe up here. I'm a huge man of matte painted backgrounds. There's something, about them. There's just kind of a magic of cinema feel that is largely lost these days. And this particular one is just gorgeous, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, say what you will about this movie, but it embraces its circusy themes with both arms and just unashamedly runs with it throughout.
Now, our hapless lovebirds finally twig that instead of finding the meteor, they've stumbled inside it. And to make matters worse, someone or something, Lee, is heading their way. They duck into a nearby door, which leads them into a giant chamber filled with massive racks of hanging candy floss, which is nice. I mean, come on. Debbie is all in on the alien flying saucer theory now, but Mike still isn't buying it. They tear a chunk from the nearest cotton candy cocoon to reveal the bloody remains of Farmer Greenlee. And this all happens at around the 17-minute and 30-second mark.
Oh, dude, you see that? You see that tiny, tiny cocoon next to Farmer Green?
Yeah.
You know who's in that, right?
No. Oh, don't tell me they cocooned Pooh Bear.
That makes sense.
God damn it, Lee. So our terrified twosome barely managed to hide as another clown enters, carrying a cotton candy cocoon, which it hangs on a rack before tending to a nearby popcorn machine.
This particular clown is known as Rudy, and you can spot him by his mane of red hair and his sunken, weary face. He looks like he either doesn't get much sleep or abuses a lot of substances.
Mike spots the dead body of Joe Lombardo, who would have died in our original cold open, if you remember, and decides to exclaim his name out loud for some reason and drop his torch, which alerts the killer clown to their presence. And the sinister alien snatches up a popcorn blaster before setting off in hot pursuit. Lee. As Mike and Debbie flee the ship, their pursuer fires a barrage of popcorn spores, which cover our unfortunate teens as they make their escape into the woods.
Rudy is joined outside the tent by another clown, Spiky. This fella again is easy to spot on account of his trademark spiky red hairdo and long face.
And in a friggin' brilliant visual gag, Spiky quickly ties together a balloon animal dog, which he secures with a leash before the yapping critter leads the clowns in pursuit. Mike and Debbie make it to their car and run down the pursuing clowns, crush the poor balloon dog. I mean, even balloon dogs aren't safe here, Lee. What the hell is going on? Anyway, another clown leaps onto the front of their car and they manage to shake it off before heading for town. Debbie insists she has a friend at the police station and he will believe them.
Incidentally, the clown who jumped on the front of the car is known as Bibbo, recognizable by his yellow and red mohawk and the blue markings on his forehead. And as Mike and Debbie burn rubber back to town, there's a really cool shot of Bibbo sitting back up that I thought was genuinely a little bit creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's been watching Halloween in their big top spaceship and thinks. Debbie insists that they go to the police, assuring Mike that, as I say, she has a friend there who will believe their story. The clowns, meanwhile, make their way to town. We know this as they stroll past a handily placed sign that reads Crescent Cove, 5 miles.
Is it just me, or does it look like someone just wrote that sign on a piece of cardboard and stuck it in a bush?
No, it's definitely not just you, dude. I guess the budget for those awesome clown suits had to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah. Incidentally, I put the end of Act One around about here. How about you?
Yeah, no, I agree, dude. I had it around here too. Yeah. So Mike and Debbie rock up at the police station where Dave ushers them inside to try and get a grip on their crazy story.
In the script, this scene occurs directly after Dave and Mooney's confrontation.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's something we see quite often in script to screen translations, but it's really prominent here. Basically, the scenes are written as a whole, and then somewhere in the editing process, they're cut down and spliced together or cross-cut to improve the film's pacing.
So in terms of writing a spec, though, surely it's better for us, the writers, to anticipate this and write the scenes in a similar way, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think in an ideal world, you're absolutely right. I do think sometimes it can be difficult to judge kind of precisely how things will translate from the page to the screen. So in my experience, you rarely ever get a script sort of directly transposed to the screen with no changes in either the sort of scene orders or length. But yeah, I think ideally you'd want to write everything as it appears, right? Meanwhile, Rudy is the first clown to hit the town and briefly disguises himself as an animatronic display outside a drugstore in order to avoid detection. And then we're back in the cop shop with Dave trying to make sense of Mike and Debbie's wild story. And I'm going to throw out a wild guess here, Lee, and say that in the script, this whole police station sequence is one long ongoing scene.
You'd be bang on the money, dude.
Nice. Now, Dave seems a little put out when he learns that Mike and Debbie were at the makeout point together.
Oh, I'm sensing some history there.
Oh, yeah. Poor Dave is doing his best to process their crazy story, but old Mooney instantly, and probably understandably to be fair, calls bullshit and gives us a classic say the title moment when he exclaims sarcastically, "Killer clowns from outer space? Holy shit."
Man, it's like we're some kind of suicide squad.
Good to see dialogue has come on leaps and bounds since the 80s, eh? As an aside, I did a little deep dive into how many films say their title in the dialogue. I'll just say the list extends way beyond schlocky 80s B movies, Lee. You'd be
Nice.
surprised. That said, as Dave heads out with the two lovebirds to investigate their story, Mooney calls out after them. Go ahead, Dave, make a dummy of yourself, but you're not going to make a dummy out of me.
As it happens, this is a great little moment of foreshadowing, which we'll come back to later.
Nicely. Love me a bit of foreshadowing. Fantastic. Okay, so time for some more clown-based shenanigans as a young man stumbles across a puppet booth inside a bandstand. He's entertained by a wacky puppet show, which quickly turns sour as the puppet pulls a ray gun on him and zaps him into a cotton candy cocoon.
Cotton candy cocoon.
A cotton candy cocoon, Lee.
I love saying that. I don't know why. It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Me too, dude. Absolutely love it. This puppet-based shocker hits at around the 25-minute mark. Now, just prior to the zappage, Spiky emerges from the puppet booth. Meanwhile, Rudy is trashing the drugstore after cocooning the customers, much to the poor pharmacist's bewilderment. We check back in with our heroic trio and learn that Dave was indeed once Debbie's boyfriend, and he still has feelings for her, Lee, creating for us that most classic and dependable of plot devices, a love triangle.
Everything's better in threes, dude.
Yeah, except pork chop twins, it would seem. We get more clown action incoming as an attractive young lady answers her door to find three clowns, Rudy, Bibbo, and Chubby, delivering pizza. Strangely, she doesn't seem in the least bit surprised by this turn of events until a tiny clown, Shorty, pops up out the pizza box and zaps her into a cotton candy cocoon, Lee.
Just for those keeping track, Chubby is quite similar in appearance to Fatso, only he has slicker hair and a blue frill. Shorty is unmistakable as he is only around 4 feet tall.
Straight from one door to another, this time an older lady finds Fatso waiting at the door with some heart-shaped candy. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? No sooner has she turned her back on him when he pulls a ray gun, and we mercifully cut back to Mike, Debbie, and Dave as they drop Debbie back at her home so they can go and check out the crashed circus tent. Now, back at the drugstore, and Rudy and Shorty continue to trash the place, but this brief little cutaway leads us nicely back to Mike and Dave, who have reached the location of the alien circus tent. Only, as written in horror trope number 37, the tent is gone, Lee. And with no proof to back him up, Dave slaps the cuffs on Mike and hauls him off.
Yeah, they did both see the giant motherfucking crater in the ground, though, right?
Yeah, but that could have been anything, Lee.
Yeah, that's some piss poor police work from Deputy Dave, methinks.
Right? With all his training. Anyway, I think it's about time for some more clown hijinks. This time we watch as Shorty saddles up outside a pretty mean looking biker bar on his rocked out tricycle. And sure enough, one of the bikers takes offense at the little guy's ride and proceeds to smash it to pieces, driving the poor wee fella to tears.
Man, I genuinely felt a little sorry for poor Shorty here.
Save your sympathy, Lee. The little clown dons a pair of boxing gloves and challenges the biker bully to a round of fisticuffs, which causes the biker to taunt his diminutive opponent with the words, "What are you going to do? Knock my block off?"
Oh, no prizes for guessing what comes next.
Nope. The little clown hits the big oaf with a devastating punch that literally tears his head off and sends his biker buddies screaming for the hills. The whole scene kicks off at around the 31-minute mark. No rest for the wicked, though, as we catch up with Jumbo, who is lurking outside a burger joint and trying to lure a young child away from her mother, all the while holding a huge mallet behind his back, ready to dispatch the girl when she's close enough. This surprisingly unsettling moment rocks up at around the 33-minute mark, and thankfully, Through the mother's hapless intervention, the child is spared. And Lee, I got to say, while this is not a particularly scary scene, it does stand out as being somewhat more unsettling than anything which has come before, with the eerie score and just the way the scene is shot. What do you think?
Yeah, I hear you, brother. I swear Jumbo the Clown missed the memo about the whole comedy thing, because whenever this motherfucker rocks up, the tone shifts pretty much as close to horror as this film gets. As before, this scene chronologically appears later in the script, so let's look at how this creepy moment unfolds on the page.
Exterior playground, night. In the playground of the restaurant is a killer clown. He's sitting on a hobby horse, slowly rocking back and forth. He waves at the little girl. She gently waves back. The clown begins to play peekaboo with the girl. She plays along, amused. The clown then motions her to come out. Interior, Big Top Burger, night. The girl turns to her mum, who is engrossed in conversation. Girl: "Oh, mummy, can I go out to see the playground? I want to see the clown." Mum number one: "No, honey, not now. I want you to finish your hamburger first." The little girl is disappointed. She takes a bite of her burger, but can't finish. The clown is coaxing her out. She turns and looks at her mum, then back to the clown. She takes her burger, slides it under her napkin, looks to her mum. The clown gets up from the horse. A big, broad smile stretches across his face. The mums are still gabbing away. We see the little girl's empty seat. The little girl is walking toward the doorway to the playground. The clown is leaning forward, gesturing the girl towards him. Behind his back, the clown is holding a formidable candy-striped mallet. The clown is drooling at the mouth with anticipation. The little girl is moving toward the door, getting closer and closer. The clown is waiting. The little girl is at the door. She pulls on it, but is not quite strong enough to open it. A man nearby reaches over and lets her out. The clown smiles. The door is closing behind her when a hand comes in and pulls the girl back. The mother has the little girl by the shoulder, dragging her back into the restaurant. Mum number one: "I told you to finish your hamburger, not hide it. What's gotten into you, young lady? When I tell you something, I expect you to obey me." Exterior playground, night. The clown is furious at this near miss. His smile breaks into a toothy grin. His eyes burn with anger. A sound diverts the clown's attention. He turns and walks to the back of the building. Now, after this, we rejoin Mike and Dave as they head back to town. But as they pass the top of the world, Dave spots something untoward. All the vehicles are seemingly abandoned, and several are laced with a certain pink, sugary webbing. He uncuffs Mike, who confirms that this is indeed the cotton candy from which the clowns make their cocoons, Lee. Dave isn't quite on board with the whole clown thing yet, but he's getting close. Back at the police station, and Mooney is losing his cool with all the clown-related emergency calls coming through. He comes to the conclusion that the whole town is playing a prank on him, and therefore, fuck 'em all, Lee.
Some more great policing by the Crescent Cove Law Enforcement Division.
Next up, we get the clown kill that was originally pegged for the movie's cold open. The car chase scene where a hapless driver is rammed off the road by a floating clown, Slim, at around the 39-minute mark.
You can spot this easily because the driver, who was originally meant to be Joe Lombardo, who Mike recognizes inside a cotton candy cocoon, refers to himself in the third person as Joe shortly before his demise.
Yeah. So a little tidbit here, Lee. This scene was originally meant to be far more spectacular, but an error with the car's cable meant it just flopped off the bridge rather limply. It wasn't quite so, amazing as it should have been. Anyway, now we briefly catch up with Debbie as she ditches her popcorn-covered clothes in order to take a shower. She doesn't notice the creepy kernels begin to crawl across the floor, though. Uh-oh, Lee. Oh, no. The sinister nature of the popcorn is made apparent as Jumbo purposefully scatters some in a garbage dumpster. Now back to Debbie, and as she enjoys a hot shower, the laundry hamper in which she stashed her popcorn-covered clothes begins to move, Lee. One final cut back to the dumpster, and after hearing a strange chirping noise, a hapless worker is dragged into the refuse container to his death.
Yeah, this is a cool little tension builder moment. We've learned that the popcorn is dangerous and potentially fatal. It's implicated that it's grown or changed into something sinister, although we have no idea what. And this increases the fear factor as we now know that Debbie is in imminent danger because, as we know and have highlighted before, give the audience more knowledge than the protagonist and you create instant tension.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So Mike and Dave make a tentative peace as they head back to town, but they spot a clown up to no good, and it's Slim again, Lee. And this time he's entertaining folks at a bus stop with some impromptu shadow puppetry at around the 43-minute and 30-second mark. The onlookers are gradually won over by his impressive performance, and it is quite impressive. Until that is, he produces a shadow puppet T-Rex, which then swallows the audience whole. Mike has seen enough. He wrestles control of the car from Dave and tries to run the clown down, but the sinister alien leaps into the sky and vanishes. Dave is now fully on board with the killer clowns and radios Mooney to call for the state police. But the old cop is having none of it and tells Dave to fuck off. I mean, what the hell? They are momentarily distracted by the ever annoying Terenzi brothers as they pursue their runaway ice cream van. And Mike decides to catch up with his friends and use their loudspeaker to warn people while Dave heads back to the police station.
God, these guys are so fucking annoying.
there's a definite Three Stooges vibe to these dimwits for sure. You're not a Stooge fan, Lee?
Not in the slightest.
Oh, you're dead inside, Lee. Now, Mike uses the promise of beautiful, big-boobed roommates to entice the Terenzis to give him a ride to Debbie's.
Nothing like the promise of some BBBR to win a fella to your cause, is there?
Absolutely not. Not these two tits, anyway. Back at the station, Mooney lights up a cigar and kicks back with a copy of Guns and Ammo as he ignores the ringing phones.
Mate, if I were in his shoes, I'd probably do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, fair enough. His reverie is quickly interrupted, though, as Jumbo shuffles into the station and, oh boy, you know things are going to hit the fan now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, boy. The sinister clown taunts Mooney with some water squirting flowers before the veteran cop cuffs the illegal alien. This doesn't go to plan either, as Jumbo sheds his hands to escape the cuffs and slinks off towards the jail cells. Mooney's reached the end of his short tether and pulls a gun on the clown before ushering him into the cell along with the college kids from earlier. He lands a sneaky blow to the back of the alien's head with his flashlight, but this just pisses Jumbo off and triggers an Exorcist-style quick 180 head turn. Now, Mooney closes the cell door, but Jumbo produces a party favor unraveling whistle and uses it to throttle the old cop and slam his head into the bars, knocking him unconscious.
Ah, rest in peace, you glorious asshole.
Dave arrives back at the police station to find the power is down, the lights are out, and the place is covered with large, decidedly clownish footprints.
Man, the film is really leaning into the horror aspect here. The lighting, the shots, the score. It's pretty damn tense.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if it weren't for the giant clown prints, I mean, this could be this could pass for something from a more traditional 80s horror easily. Now, Dave makes his way into the cells where he finds the door ajar and two conspicuous bright pink
Cotton candy cocoons.
Yay! Our leading lawman investigates the first cocoon to find the remains of one of the teenagers Mooney locked up in the cell. He barely has time to process his discovery when the partially dissolved arm of the second teen slides out of another cocoon to give a classic falling hand jump scare at around the 54-minute mark. Incidentally, Lee, do you have a favorite falling hand jump scare?
Probably Jurassic Park for me. What about you, dude?
I don't know. Is there one in Halloween? Does that count? You know, the hand on the shoulder?
Is there a hand on the shoulder scare in Halloween? I'm drawing a blank on
out
that one.
The cupboard, like a hand falls on Jamie Lee Curtis's shoulder.
Oh, that's when she finds her friends. No, there's no hand on the thing scene, but they do kind of just flop out.
Yeah, okay, I'm mistaking it. I don't have one then, is the truth. So, a justifiably disturbed Dave stumbles back into the office where Jumbo lurks sinisterly in the background. As Dave becomes aware of the clown's presence, it produces a deceased Officer Mooney, now reduced to little more than a hollowed out ventriloquist's dummy.
Man, this is such a cool scene. Check out how it's written in the script.
Interior police station, night. Dave staggers through the office. We see the 8-foot clown sitting at the desk behind him. The clown slowly spins his chair around to face Dave. Squeak. The chair squeaks. Dave freezes. He's afraid to turn around. He turns slowly and sees the clown sitting, smiling at him. Mooney sits up in his lap. His eyes are glazed, his expression one of sheer terror. Mooney speaks. Mooney. Hey, Dave. Who was that lady I saw you with last night? Mooney is dead, being manipulated like some deranged ventriloquist dummy. Dave is in total grossed out shock. He stands there dumbfounded. Mooney. Don't be afraid, Dave. We only want to kill you. The clown pulls his hand out of Mooney's back, shaking entrails from his hand. It lifts Mooney off his lap and drops him to the floor. Mooney's dead face hits the linoleum. The clown rises. Dave stands helpless. The clown moves towards Dave. It pulls out a puppet ray gun and points it at Dave. Dave pulls out his gun and fires at the clown. The clown squeaks with each bullet impact and continues to advance. It shoves the desk out of its way like a toy. Dave shoots again and again at the clown's body. Dave sees it's useless, raises his sights to the clown's bulbous red nose. He pauses, then fires. Bang! The nose shatters in a red, bloody mass, confetti shooting out of its nose. It goes into convulsions as it emits ear-splitting shrieks. The clown spins like a top. And boomly! With its weak spot destroyed, the wicked clown finally buys the farm, and now our heroes have a means to destroy these sinister aliens. Yeah!
Nice.
Dave wastes no time in calling in the state police, but it's going to be some time before they arrive. Meanwhile, Mike and the Terenzis are on their way to Debbie's when they encounter a veritable clown carnival in the street. With the aid of a giant ride-on vacuum cleaner, the antagonistic aliens are hoovering up cotton candy cocoons by the motherload. The brothers pull a hasty 180, and it looks like poor Debbie is going to have to wait. Speaking of which, we rejoin a freshly showered Debbie as she goes to stash the last of her clothes in the wash basket, only to find it infested with ravenous mini clown heads. It's not only the basket that's infested, as she soon falls under attack from the medicine cabinet and even the damn toilet bowl, Lee. It's a cool little payoff, and it feels like we've been waiting for ages to get to it, and it hits at around the 59-minute mark. Also, Lee, I have to ask, what is the deal with the popcorn and these weird clown head things?
Good question, my man. But I'm afraid I don't have any concrete answers for you on this one. Just some speculation.
Speculate away, dude.
Okay, so the popcorn spores obviously transform into these like weird clown larvae type things. So the way I see it, there are probably two possibilities. First of all, number one, this is how the clowns reproduce. First as popcorn spores, then into clown larvae, and presumably from there into fully fledged clowns. Or two, I mean, this could be a highly evolved biological weapon that the clowns use to sow discord and chaos in their wake. You know, they shoot people with these things, secrete them in dark places, and then a few hours later, bam, ravenous fanged clown heads attack anything within reach. And looking deeper into the script, it refers to the creatures as Jack-in-the-Box clowns. So make of that little tidbit what you will.
Nice. Both plausible explanations, Lee. Good work. Love it. So things aren't going well for poor Debbie as she answers the door to Mike's pleading voice, only to find Slim waiting there, mimicking Mike's squeaking tones perfectly. What a sneaky bastard. She slams the door and flees for the window, intending to make a leap for freedom. But a gaggle of clowns wearing firemen's hats and holding a small trampoline await her under the window.
Yet another great little visual gag. I mean, say what you will about these guys, but they do know how to set up a visual pun.
They do, don't they? So she backs away from the window into Slim, who traps her inside a giant balloon. No cotton candy this time. Some handy plot armor, methinks.
Maybe.
I sense you have an opinion on this, dude.
Well, so far, Debbie is the only one not to be cotton candy cocooned by the clowns. And you're right, it could just be some handy plot armor, or there could be a more sinister reason.
Oh, go on then.
Well, after the clowns have gorged themselves on all the cotton candy cocoons, they're going to get hungry again, right? So, what's the best way to ensure a constant supply of fresh meat? Breeding stock. Perhaps the clowns are snaring some ripe females so they can start their own human meat farm.
Yeah, that is a horrifying thought. So Mike and the Terenzis rock up just as Slim affixes Debbie's balloon to the back of his clown car, and we're off in high-speed pursuit through the streets of Crescent Cove. The chase attracts the attention of Dave, who follows along for backup, but the Terenzis think he's after them for speeding and slam on the brakes, resulting in the cop car rear-ending them hard. Nobody is harmed, but the cruiser is written off. Dave commandeers the ice cream truck, and they head off to the only place a clown could possibly hide, the amusement park, Lee.
I love the fact that you see the alien big top in the distance among the amusement lights. It's a really, really cool shot.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's like Mac painted backdrops, man, for the win, you know?
Yeah. Also, I reckon start of Act 3 around here.
Yeah, this is where I had it too, dude. Yeah, definitely. So the speeding clown car reaches the amusement park first, where they are intercepted by a weary night watchman. In another great little visual gag, we get a whole bunch of clowns emerging from the tiny car. Each then produces a custard pie.
Leading to the brilliantly deadpanned line from the watchman. What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
So silly. No prizes for guessing the answer as they bombard the poor chap with pies. But these aren't ordinary pies, Lee. Oh no, they are highly corrosive, acidic projectiles. And the poor night watchman is melted down to a puddle of creamy white goo. The clowns saunter past the poor man's remains, and Shorty quite literally pops a cherry on top of the melted goo pile.
Is it just me or is Shorty the clown kind of adorable?
It's definitely just you, dude. But in all fairness, I guess as homicidal alien clowns go, at least he has a sense of humor, you know? It means a lot for me. Dave and the gang rock up a moment later and discover the melted remains before heading inside the big top. Once inside, our ragged rescue party speculate on the alien clowns and their appearance. Mike suggests that perhaps these creatures visited our planet before, centuries ago, and it's from them that we inherited the idea and arguably the fear of clowns that is so prevalent. We move on into some delightfully low budget sets, complete with black backgrounds and dry ice.
In the script, we get a cool sounding scene that never made it to the film, so have a listen.
Interior, mirrored corridor, night. The group walks through a corridor filled with wanky mirrors. Their reflections bend and contort with every step. Mike and Dave do not react to their reflections. Rich and Paul are amused, watching their distorted reflections metamorphosizing. Behind one mirror, a killer clown can be seen watching their every move. It sneers an evil grin.
Mate, I have no idea what a wanky mirror is, and at this point, I'm too afraid to ask.
That's fair enough. So after the Terenzis accidentally, on purpose, set off a gas vent, Dave warns them not to touch anything as the ship is probably booby-trapped, which I imagine would only encourage the Terenzis, but there we go. A few moments later, the annoying duo fall through a trapdoor and land in a ball pit along with a pair of grotesque, large-breasted female clowns.
I get it. They fell right into a booby trap.
Yeah, I get it, Lee. I get it.
Looks like the Terenzis are going to get it too.
Neither Mike nor Dave are particularly concerned about the missing brothers and move deeper into the tent, whereupon Mike begins to recognize his surroundings. They're back where he and Debbie first entered the tent, and he's able to lead Dave back to the cocoon chamber. The place is absolutely rammed with cotton candy cocoons, Lee, and Mike speculates the clowns must have nabbed almost the whole town.
Yeah, I mean, that actually leaves us with one hell of a body count for this film. I mean, a quick Google search throws up an estimated population number for American coastal towns in 1988 to be anywhere between 800 to the low thousands. Bearing in mind there's a college campus in walking distance, so I'm going to guesstimate the number to be around 2,000, including students. So let's say the clowns only managed to grab half of them. That still gives us a body count of around 1,000, which for such a light-hearted film is pretty damn high, I think.
Yeah, that may well be a record for the show, right?
Maybe. I mean, they are almost all off-screen fatalities, though, so surely 28 Days Later or Walking Dead, possibly even The Blob, would have to be significantly higher.
Yeah, fair point. But a discussion for another day, methinks. Anyway, the search for Debbie's balloon prison is interrupted as Chubby enters in search of a snack. After probing several cocoons for rightness, he whips out a giant curly straw and slurps down a big old helping of melted Cuban.
Do you think the cotton candy makes people taste better?
Probably. Uh, do you think much about how people taste?
No, but I love cotton candy or candy floss, as us Brits call it. And I was just wondering if the cotton candy cocoons make cotton candy taste like people or people taste like cotton candy.
Hmm. Yeah, does it really make a difference?
Well, if I'm going to eat some, then yeah, it makes a hell of a difference.
Oh, dude.
Also, and this only occurred to me on this particular watch through of the movie, but the clowns are very spider-like, not necessarily in their appearance, but in their feeding methods.
Interestingly, go on.
Well, spiders tend to use, and I love this word, liquefactive or extraoral digestion, meaning they incapacitate their prey, inject them with a venom that breaks down their internal organs into mush, and then they drink them up. Very much like the clowns, only with web-like cotton candy and pointed drinking straws.
Yeah, you're determined to milk every bit of horror from this jovial classic, aren't you?
It's what I do. There's also another little scene in the script here that isn't present in the film.
Interior, food processing plant, night. Through the porthole is a huge Dr. Seuss like machine. Clowns are loading cocoons onto a conveyor belt that take them into the spinning and churning contraption. At the opposite end, neat pink wafers emerge with clowns sifting powdered sugar on them. Other clowns are stacking and carting them away. There are thousands of wafers. No doubt a budgetary cut there, Lee, I'd wager.
Mm.
Well, after Chubby departs, Mike and Dave locate the balloon containing Debbie.
Only she blatantly isn't in it.
Yeah. Amusingly, either for budgetary or safety reasons, probably both to be fair, Debbie is only inside the balloon during the extreme close ups. Now, Dave makes the desperate decision here to shoot the balloon.
But not before saying Mike's name 3 times in 3 sentences within a 9-second time frame.
that's, that's an odd thing to notice, Lee.
Screenwriting 101, Will. When people talk, they don't often use other people's names, Will, unless using them as a specific identifier. When you use names too often, Will, it just sounds, I don't know, unnatural. Incidentally, though, Will, this one isn't on the script, as there is no mention of Mike's name in the particular conversation, which is otherwise, Will, pretty much as written.
Yeah, this is also a personal bugbear for me, Lee. Fortunately, Dave's plan works, and some good old-fashioned gunplay frees Debbie from her spherical rubber prison. The sound of the gunshot has alerted the clowns, though, and our desperate trio are forced to flee.
Yeah, there's a really nice little character beat for Dave as he is genuinely reluctant to leave without trying to free any other people who may be trapped in balloons.
Yeah, Debbie and Mike could not give less of a fuck, though, and the approaching clowns leave Dave with no other choice but to flee. Out of the cocoon chamber and back in the corridor, Dave puts down a killer clown with a well-placed shotgun blast to the nose. The only other option leads them to a fireman's pole that descends into the dark depths of the ship. Debbie and Mike go first as Dave takes out Fatso with another nose blast from his shotgun.
There's a really cool brief visual from the script that never made it to the screen. Check it out.
Interior processing plant, night. The clown's head is rotating around and around on its shoulders, emitting an ear splitting sound. Clowns are being alerted. They rush about.
Yeah, see, thanks to the constant thematic nature of the film and the script, I can picture this scene perfectly in my head.
Yeah, me too, dude. Now, Mike and Debbie barely stop Dave from sliding into the fangs of some huge, slimy beast, and then they're away again, Lee, into the mouth of a giant snake, through a corridor filled with balloons and another giant snake's mouth. All the while, clowns are in hot pursuit.
There's yet another great little visual gag in the script that didn't survive translation to the film. Have a listen.
Interior, tightrope room, night. The tilting room ends. Mike, Debbie, then Dave stop at the entrance of another room. Stretched out before them is a yellow tightrope suspended across the dark room. They run across it with no difficulty. In brackets, the rope is a visual gag for the film audience. With the clowns almost upon them, the trio barely manage to escape through a series of ever-shrinking doors where they manage to barricade themselves into what looks like a large circus arena.
Previous to this, we lose another brief scene of the group arguing over which door they should choose.
There's no respite here, though, as they find themselves quickly surrounded by a horde of clowns wielding golf clubs and baseball bats at around the 1 hour, 16-minute mark.
See, this begs the question, did we also learn golf and baseball from these guys too?
Oh, well, I guess it's a definite possibility, Lee. Definite possibility. Dave, meanwhile, leads the others to higher ground, but it looks like the game is up until the Terenzi brothers, fresh from their carnal clown encounter, smash through the wall in their ice cream truck, and in a rare moment of brief competence, they use the loudspeaker on the giant truck-mounted clown head to intimidate the aliens into releasing their would-be prey. It looks like the ruse is working until something spooks the clowns and they all flee as a colossal clown is lowered from the ceiling at around the 1 hour, 18-minute mark.
And this guy would be Jojo, aka Clownzilla.
It looks awesome and it wastes no time in smashing the ice cream truck to pieces and tossing it across the arena where it explodes in a fiery ball of death, seemingly incinerating the Terenzi brothers.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Yeah, me too, man. Okay, so Dave draws the massive clown away so Mike and Debbie can escape through the hole left by the ice cream truck. And mate, I see what you mean. Dave really does like saying Mike's name, doesn't he? 5 times in 21 seconds this time.
We should make a drinking game out of this, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I genuinely think my liver would explode, dude. Uh, as Mike and Debbie flee outside, the circus tent begins to retract into itself for takeoff. Unable to hit the giant clown's medicine ball sized nose at a distance of about 10 feet, Dave finds himself out of ammo and snatched up by a massive hand ready for the kill. Outside, the tent is starting to spin at insane speeds as it readies for launch, just as the state police arrive on the scene.
Better late than never, I suppose.
Back inside the ship, Clownzilla is moments from chomping down on Deputy Dave when the resourceful lawman removes his police badge and uses the pin to pop the giant clown's nose like a balloon. The fatally wounded beast drops Dave and winds up for a massive explosion that takes out the entire ship. Mike and Debbie can only look on in anguish as the ship explodes, but it's not over yet. The sound of an incoming projectile puts everyone on high alert as the clown car from earlier crashes down into the street. And who should emerge, Lee? A battered and bruised Dave.
Yeah, boy.
And the Terenzi brothers.
Ah, fuck off.
Yep. Turns out they hid in the freezer, Indiana Jones style. It's all done and dusted now, though. Our heroes rejoice in their victory. Dave takes a long sniff of Debbie's hair. Just as they ponder if the ordeal is over, they are hit by cream pies and boom, the credits roll.
Yeah, man. And I just got to say, there is no way Debbie ain't jumping Dave's bones the second they get somewhere private. I mean, the two have been touchy-feely ever since rescuing her from the balloon. And let's be honest here, Mike didn't do shit throughout the entire film.
I'm sure he contributed somewhere along the line.
Oh yeah, where?
I can't quite pinpoint it, but Debbie, she goes for laughs, not stability, man.
Good point. Also, the ending is a fair bit darker in the script. Dave doesn't survive his encounter with Clownzilla, dying in the explosion, and the ship just flies off unharmed into space. Unfortunately, though, the Terenzis still survive. Okay, so come on, man. What did you think of the film?
Oh, I thought this was a lot of fun, Lee. Loads of fun. I mean, I know I watch a lot of kind of classic movies or things that are considered classics. And you sort of ribbed me a little bit about being a bit highbrow or whatever. But, I have a deep love of kind of low budget, schlocky sort of B movies that don't take themselves too seriously. And I think this falls squarely into that category. I think a lot of love has obviously kind of gone into the making of this film, and that really shows. And tonally, it really works. And there are some surprisingly good kind of makeup effects going on here too. It's really inventive, I think. Super funny at times. They worked the tension well at times too. So yeah, dude, I really enjoyed watching this one.
Nice. I mean, I have a lot of love for this film. I know it isn't the greatest movie ever, but you can feel, like you said, every ounce of passion and creativity that went into this project, and it secured a legacy that endures to this very day. There's been whispers of a sequel for pretty much as long as I can remember, and a new video game, countless merchandise tie-ins mean this film is arguably more popular now than it ever has been.
Nice, dude. That's great. Okay, then, man. I think it's about time. Let's break this baby down. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware, we begin the breakdown with a retrospective look at our reasons for choosing the film.
Hmm. So we wanted to look at how the script handled the clown themes and general insanity of the movie, as well as the creativity behind the kills. And as we've seen, the clown and circus related imagery is everywhere in the script, even more so than the film, as there are several short visual scenes that were cut, most likely due to budgetary reasons.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's look at our characters. Are there any introductions that stood out to you as particularly effective or memorable?
To be fair, all of the character introductions in this one I thought were pretty vanilla, but if I had to choose one, I'd go with this timeless classic. Two fat but cute girls emerge from the rear of the truck holding popsicles. Tracy and Stacy, the pork chop twins. How about you?
I mean, I did it. I thought that was pretty funny, inappropriately funny. I did quite enjoy Mooney's intro as I thought it captured his character well, and you can see this kind of come through in John Vernon's performance. So check this out. Interior, Big Top Burger, night. Inside, Officer Clifford Mooney, a member of the local police force, is carrying a cup of coffee, slowly working his way through the crowd of kids. Exterior, Big Top Burger, night. Mooney exits through the side door. He's a 45-year-old Vietnam veteran with a persecution complex. Abusive of his authority, he has a self-righteous attitude that makes him difficult to deal with. Now free from the commotion inside, he pauses to sip his hot coffee. A group of students wildly run past him, causing Mooney to almost spill the hot liquid all over himself. He looks back at them disdainfully. I thought that was really interesting because it
Hmm.
just sort of sets up his character perfectly. And I think,
Yeah.
Vernon's performance kind of really comes from that opening description. So I thought that was
Yeah.
great. So before we break down the scarology, did you have a scariest moment, Lee?
Like we said before, this bad boy is definitely light on scares, but for me, the police station scene with Jumbo the Clown would slot seamlessly into pretty much any horror movie of that era. It's genuinely creepy, and if this were the only scene from the movie you ever watched, you'd swear down that this was taken from a full-fledged horror flick. How about you, man?
Yeah, I agree, man. There is something definitely kind of slightly sinister about that moment, isn't there? I liked the tension building also in the shower scene with the popcorn creeping around and the Jack in the Box clowns. I thought in a different film, this could be genuinely scary. Tonally, that's not what this film is, but all the elements are there to make this a really kind of scary scene. All right, then, dude, let's talk about the scarology. First of all, does the film more or less conform to the 10-minute rule?
Yeah, pretty much down to the letter.
Nice, man. Okay, so break that down for us, Lee.
Okay. Well, like I did say earlier, this movie is pretty light in the scare department. So most of these scenes wouldn't normally make a scarology, but as we've learned in the past, the scarology is always scaled to the film in question. So we start off with Farmer Green and Pooh Bear buying the proverbial farm at 8 minutes and 30. And then it's pretty much 9 minutes exactly until we first encounter the dreaded cotton candy cocoons at 17 minutes and 30. Next up, the clowns hit the town, giving us our next scare, the sinister hand puppet show at around the 25-minute mark, followed 6 minutes later at 31 minutes with Shorty teaching those biker bullies a lesson they'll never forget. And then a couple minutes after that, we get Jumbo luring the little girl outside the restaurant. Then at 39 minutes, we get what was originally our cold open with the clifftop car wreck, followed 4.5 minutes later with some sinister shadow puppetry. Then we get the genuinely creepy police station scene at 54 minutes, followed 5 minutes later with the popcorn Jack in the Box clowns. Then it's a bit of a break with our next creepy moment, the clown horde ambush at 1 hour and 16 minutes. And finally, Jojo the Clownzilla at 1 hour and 18 minutes.
Nice, dude. Okay, let's break down those acts for you. So, Act One gives us two scares paced nicely around the 10-minute mark apiece. Act Two gives us another well paced seven scares, these pacing closer to 5 minutes apart before things slow down into Act Three, giving us just two heart pounders in rapid succession at the film's climax.
Fantastic. And do you have any thoughts on the themes at work here?
Well, I think definitely, fear of death and the unknown for sure. If we're sort of using our Parker themes, I think this
Mhm.
film plays heavily on the fact that, a lot of people find clowns and circuses kind of quite unsettling. So maybe there's something about horror being found in the sort of benign kind of everyday, if you know what I mean. It could be talking about the darkness and danger lurking under the surface of the everyday.
Hmm.
And Mooney seems to reflect that, I think. I'm not sure though, dude. What do you think?
I mean, besides the Parker staples of fear of death, fear of the unknown, I think there is an argument that the film preaches the dangers of complacency or the fear of the familiar. I mean, you have clowns, popcorn, circus tents, cotton candy, balloon animals, to name just a select few, all of which have been refrained from beloved entertainment into devilish devices of death. If you want to go crazy deep, you could make an argument that the clowns represent tourism or consumerism. They rock up to a small town, bleed it dry, and then head off on their merry way. But I'll admit that one is a bit of a stretch.
Nice. That's pretty cool, dude. I do like it. I think that's good. Okay, so what, if anything, do you think you've learnt from this script, Lee?
I mean, for me, and this is something I've prattled on about so many times, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's all about the concept. This movie lives and dies on the ingenuity of its concept and the fact that the movie leans so heavily into it. There are so many brilliant visual gags in here, all tied around that initial concept of alien clowns killing people in clownish ways. And if ever there was a movie that lived up to the promise of the premise, this is it. This text is also a great one to look at in regards to breaking up longer scenes. On the page, they often run long, too long, in fact, but on screen, they have been edited down and spliced together to create a much smoother flow. My take from this is why wait for the editor director to do it for you when you can splice those scenes together on the page? Now bear in mind, however, we are dealing with the ever hallowed writer
Writer
director
director privilege.
privilege. Yeah. But in my mind, why not just lay it out that way on the page? Especially if you're trying to sell a spec, you want it to be the best it can be and to flow as well as it can possibly go.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, dude. I mean, I think there's a lot of scope to really think through how you're kind of cross-cutting scenes in your
Mm.
scripts
Yeah.
and how that can create kind of tension and deliver exposition in interesting ways. Also good for pacing reasons. I think the script is kind of really well written, and in some ways works better than the film. The Terenzi brothers, for example, are not quite as annoying on the page. But the action passages are, for the most part, sort of two, three lines, which I really love. Not sure I learned loads from the script itself. But the takeaways I think you've suggested, Lee, are really good. And I think the only other thing that I sort of thought, whilst watching this is just the like, it's like you're talking about living up to the promise of the premise, the inventiveness that is shown in this movie in terms of, how the clowns are sort of dispatching people and, all of the kind of circus related sort of things that are being used to sort of either manufacture kills or create tension or scares. It's just really, really inventive, I think,
Yeah,
is on
it
scene
is
as
really
well.
cool, man. It is
Yeah,
really
it's
cool. And
really
on the
inventive.
on the subject of the long scenes, I guess like there's nothing wrong with writing the scenes long, just get them written, and then that could be because we spoke before about when doing edits, going back and rewrites, going back and focusing on certain parts. That could very well be a specified rewrite. Go back, see if any scenes run long, and if they do, see if you can splice them into other scenes just to kind of break up and help that pacing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think it's also sort of an interesting way of, I think, breaking up kind of the delivery of exposition. I think, like, if you're
Mm.
able to cross cut between scenes and even sort of in some way make those scenes maybe sort of delivering similar sort of parts of exposition for the story, I think that's a really kind of interesting thing to do and a good thing to think about, like you say, when you're doing sort of a rewrite covering a specific kind of area of the script that you want to look at. Looking at breaking up some of those longer scenes and what those scenes are doing is, I think, a really sort of good
Yeah.
a good point there, Lee. So yeah, really good stuff. Well, I think we're almost done here, dude. But before we wrap up and talk about our next episode, what would you rate the script and film as here?
Okay, so I'm teetering between sixes and sevens here. I'm going to go sevens, sevens across the board, and I'll tell you why. This film, as I've said before, has endured for decades, and it's arguably more popular now than it's ever been. And I think that takes something special. And I think the dedication to the circus clown theme and the light-hearted tone of the film means that this movie will endure long after many of today's blockbusters are shelved and forgotten.
Yeah, dude, I think we're in total agreement. I mean, if you like this kind of low budget silliness, this film is kind of a seven all day long, maybe higher. I think, for some, I know this would sort of score way less, but it's a seven for me. I think the script is sort of well written and pretty easy to read, pretty entertaining. So I gave that a seven as well. And I think this kind of film just has a sort of tone and a sort of feel that is kind of reminiscent in a way, obviously less kind of gore and less explicit sort of sexuality, but it's kind of reminiscent in a way tonally of something like Reanimator, which I think there's a
Mm.
huge kind of fan base for that kind of
Yeah,
film,
yeah.
that sort of low budget, kind of slightly trashy, slightly kind of poorly acted, movie. I think tonally this really works for me. I just love where this sits.
Nice. Nice. So, what does that give us? That gives us a unanimous 14 out of 20 for both the script and the film. So, it
Awesome,
looks like
dude.
we're pretty much on the same page on that one. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's
Nice.
great. That was great fun.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that one, Lee. Good pick.
Mm.
Okay, so
Thank you very
what's
much.
what's on the agenda for next time, dude?
Okay, so next time, my friend, we will be looking at the James Cameron classic and a film that is not often thought of as a horror, yet it is disturbingly terrifying. The sci-fi pseudo slasher that is The Terminator.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, man, because I
Mm.
don't really kind of consider this necessarily a horror, but it does have
You
that sort
will
of.
do by the time we're finished next week.
I'm sure I will stand corrected, but I mean, thinking about it the other day, it does have that sort of relentless, unkillable pursuer kind of
Hmm.
slasher thing going on, which I can
Exactly. Yeah.
totally see. So really interested to see how that one kind of, breaks down and what we can learn from that. If you've enjoyed the podcast, as always, please hit like and subscribe. It is free. And if you're feeling really generous, please leave us a review on your podcatcher of choice because it really does help us. Check out our socials. We're on Facebook and Blue Sky, and it can obviously be reached there. We also publish to YouTube, so you can listen to us there. There's no visuals currently, but plenty of audio goodness. Feel free to drop us a line with any thoughts on our website. That's www.scripttoscreampodcast.com. We always love hearing from you guys. We have much more content there, script samples, as we mentioned earlier, scarology graphs, all sorts going on. We also now offer script reading services. We will analyze your script and give you tailored feedback on your work. And we're also creating pitch decks for projects. We'll collaborate with you to create a stunning pitch deck for your project, which you can take out into the world and get pitching. So if that's something of interest, go to the website, navigate to the script reading page, and you can get all of the info there. But until next time, do take care.
Do not wash your cotton candy and keep writing those scares.